Hello, everybody. This is Gloria here again. Thank you for clicking again and thank you for showing interest in what I have to share on my channel. So, thanks a lot. I hope that all is going well wherever you are. You're checking out part two actually um, of this video of how to change your life within 1 month. In part one, if you haven't seen it already, you could check it out, but I'll just give you a little summary. In part one, I spoke about knowing who you are and the strength and the confidence and the control, that a person can get by just knowing who they are, and generally how important that is in this whole endeavor of changing your life in this time frame. In part two now, I'm going to talk about what you want. What do you want? And goal setting and having goals in general. So, and the importance of that. So, let's get right into it. Okay, so I will give you the definition of goal and goal setting as I understand it, and as this definition was which guided me into really understanding how to plan my and execute my goals. So, goals is a result one is attempting to achieve, or an object of desire. It's normally clear, observable, measurable, and associated with some type of deadline or time frame. And goal setting in general involves identifying something or a result you want and directing all efforts to that. Okay, so now that we understand what for the most part goal and goal setting is, we could really get into just setting our goals. But one thing I observed that it's easier said than done. People would say, have goals and have ambition and so on, but how really do you get there? How do you get there? And I find that that's another area that takes some work. Luckily for us, we're already halfway there. In the exercise that you conducted in part one, which pushed you to answer a lot of questions directing at different areas in your life. Having done that, I'm certain that you perhaps already identify some areas that you're happy with, you're content with, but also some areas that you would want to change and want to do better, right? So from that, use that exercise there and note down all the areas that you want to see some type of improvement or some type of change, total in general. So that's the first thing that I did, and I noted a number of areas. However, the top three that's important at this point for me is something that has to do with handling emotions, handling and being better at identifying emotions in general. The next one has to do with my professional life, and then lastly, financial wise. Right, so those are the three areas, and that's the order of importance. And I specifically chose number one as one, the emotion, is because I strongly believe if you have a good grasp of this area, all the other areas will be positively affected. So that's my reason for really choosing that one, But for you, it's whatever is most important for you. So you prioritize it the way that you feel fit. For this illustration here, I will use my number one and break it down to show you how I got to this first goal. Okay, so now getting down to the specific goal. So like I said, for me, one of my primary goal had to do with emotions, and I had to try to break that down a bit more. So I thought about it and I said, all right, I know it has to do something with handling emotions or being versed in that area. I said, okay, still not specific enough. Generally, I want to know, to communicate effectively with people, but I felt for the most part, I build good rapport with a lot of people, so it's not that's not precisely what I want, communicate effectively, specifically where I want improvement. What I want to work on is improve how I handle difficult situations and or difficult people, because dealing with the norm is quite fine, right? But those tricky situations, you may feel like you handle it well sometimes, but I just feel like there's more there, and I feel that I could improve a lot more in that area, because this goal originates from my longing or my want to do something more along the lines of mentoring and so on in the future. So that this goal has a bigger goal for me, but for now this is quite sufficient, right? So now that I know that I want to improve how I handle difficult situation and difficult people, right? How do I do this? How can I do this, right? The first thing you'd have to know is knowing my current situation in dealing with situations like this, right? My temperament, right? All of those emotional responses that a person can get, whether sad, happy, judgmental, caring, hopeless. We went over, I noted in the description for the last video, but having a good understanding of those for myself, one, and then knowing how to use that to communicate in a way that where I could achieve my goal. So the next thing is research, right? I had to conduct some research and do a lot of reading in this area, and find some books, find some blogs, some reports, and so on about this area of study. And so that's step 2. Another step that I took was taking walks and exercise, and it sounds weird, sounds a bit different, but doing that really clears your mind. When you just take a half hour or 45 minutes to just take a walk or work out, do a hardcore workout, it really clears your mind for a bit, or allows you to think clear. For me, that is, at least. Another thing that I found was or can be effective is meditating. Started to do some research on meditating, and yes, it's something that I started to do, and it really add to the soundness of mind and space and heart, and which in turn positively affected how I communicate, how I deal with a lot of situations. And lastly, it's reflecting back on difficult situations or persons that I encounter. This is a means that I use to measure, and it's not that I'm welcoming horrible situations for me, but it's a test. So whenever we come across a difficult situation or instance, and I go back home and really think about it, it's an opportunity then for me to really evaluate how I handle and identify where I possibly went wrong. So those are in a nutshell some of what I would like to call a plan of action, or the little task that I set out in order to assist me in reaching my goal. So now that that's finished, what's next? A question that you may have is, why even bother? Why what's the benefit for me to set goals and work very, very hard, in order to achieve this goal? Why waste time and so on? Okay, I'll tell you the reason why. There are a number of reasons why, actually. I'm starting off with focus, right? Having goals allow you to be focused. It gives you direction, it gives you motivation, drive, and purpose. You're working towards something. It allows you, or forces you actually, to use your time better. For instance, for me when it comes to taking these walks. Oh my goodness. Normally you would say, oh, I'll just take a rest. But knowing what your goal is and knowing the impact of each one of these little objectives that you note out to achieve your goal. For in my case, one of them is ensuring that I exercise or take a walk, and I know it will help me, so I have to conjure up the courage and I just go and I take the walk. Better use of time, effective use of time. Honestly, it also assists you to identify distractions. So when you don't have a goal, you're easily distracted and you go in whichever direction somebody comes and say, hey, let's go. However, when you have that focus and you have that goal, it allows you to easily identify that, you know, I can't take this long weekend off to do XYZ because this will be detrimental to what I want to accomplish, or I can't let this person into my life because we seem to be like we're on very different paths here and I need to achieve my goal. So it allows you to identify distractions, and it also helps to make decision making clear. You know, you're able to really decide quickly or quicker when you're faced with certain situations, and there's a peace of mind. Yeah, a peace of mind. I'll note that is one of the benefits of having goals, peace of mind. So that's why those are sufficient reasons why you should consider taking the time out to note your goals, set them out, and work towards them. I set mine now annually, right? I know there's a bigger picture in general, so I have my life goals. However, annually I have different goals of what I hope that I would achieve or accomplish by the end of every year. So it's up to you how you want to put it all together. However, it doesn't matter how much goals you set out as long as you have some. That's what I think, at least. So that's it for knowing what you want. And in knowing what you want, you'll be able to up the ante a bit, set some goals, and push hard, and enjoy the benefits that's come along with what we said in part one, knowing who you are, and you're adding additional ammunition against any negativity or any possible downfall by knowing what you want, having goals. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you on part 3. It's getting juicier as we're going along. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. All right, goodbye.